Hello everyone, I'm Kiran Pandey, the Program Director of the Environment Resources Unit at the Center for Science and Environment. I welcome you all to this first online course on demystifying climate data. And I'm going to take you across to an interesting concept of creating a data diary that you will all find very, very useful when you want to write reports or stories on climate change. So let me take you across to this concept of climate data diary and how do we create it? I'm sure most of you will agree with this, that all of us have two kinds of data with us. The first kind of data that we have is the work that we have done and the data that has come out of that work. For example, if you're a researcher, you have your own data that has been generated. If you're working in a government department, you have collected data from your field reporting, from your field work. If you're a project officer, you have data that has come out of your project reports. But we also have to know what is happening on the other side. And which means we need to have access to data that we do not have. And we need this because we want to add another perspective to our own research. If you are a journalist, you want to add additional value to your story. If you are again a project officer, you want to have different perspectives in your project report. And many other reasons behind this. At the same time, in both the cases, the data that we will need will be of various periodicities. We may need to have data on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly, and even on an annual basis. For example, at CSE, data has been at the center of our policy research and advocacy work for over 4 decades now. It has provided us useful insights. And if you see each one of our report that we come out with very often as a knowledge product has data as the evidence. Why? Because we believe that it helps us tell our perspective better as an evidence. It does help in creating influence and impact also. Interestingly, nowadays in the new media age, where all of us are on new platforms, for example, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and various other platforms, we have been using data in various innovative ways to reach out to these platforms. Because a single number tells you the complete story. You can see these screenshots of various ways in which we have been using data at the center. We'll come to know more about this as we go further into the training. For example, the first screenshot that you're seeing over here is from a set of posters that we have designed to show how climate has been impacting India. The second set you're seeing over here is something to do with COVID and how India has been impacted by the COVID pandemic. The third screenshot that you're seeing over here is a smart data card that we come up with every day using the numbers on the COVID at a global level. The third is a data card in Hindi, India's national language, because we also have a Hindi magazine. And therefore, you can see whether it's English or Hindi or any other language, we have been the numbers can be used innovatively to reach out to a wider audience through the new media platforms as well. As I told you, each one of our product uses data clearly as an evidence, and it definitely helps us tell our perspective better and with a lot of confidence. This is again a screenshot of few of our products that we have come out on climate change. And these are books, the fact sheets, these are posters. Again, for a variety of audience groups. For example, you can see on this screenshot itself, you will find that some of the books are meant for researchers, policymakers. There's another interesting book that is meant only for students, for younger audience. But the common thing about these products is numbers have been used very, very creatively in each of our publications. Now let me come to the topic, climate change. See, climate change is a multi-sectoral subject. If you're a journalist, I often say it is everyone's beat. And therefore, each one of us needs to understand and uncover the science and politics of climate change. We need to understand the global developments with the national, regional, and local perspective. As you must have heard by this time, what Richard said. Richard Mahapatra has already informed you of how climate change is a global subject, but has a local impact. Similarly, a local climate development will also have an impact on the global scenario, which means we have to understand it from both the perspectives. And in this context, evidence-based writing and reporting will be very, very important, because you will always find there are two groups who talk about climate change. And one of the groups agrees that yes, it is a challenge, it's a threat to our humanity, whereas there are also climate deniers. Now, if you have to prove your point, you will definitely look for critical evidence, and there numbers are very, very important. But let me make things very clear. Numbers have to be used very innovatively. When we talk about data and numbers, it doesn't mean that we don't have to track other things, other sources. As a writer on climate change, as a researcher on climate change, you have to be on your mark. You have to remain up to date on what's happening. That means you have to track events on climate and developmental issues. That means you have to build your diary of global and national events that you would like to track and remain up to date. Because in each of these events, you'll find interesting knowledge being generated. Other interesting thing about climate change is it impacts all of us. It impacts our livelihood, which means people is central to the debate on climate change. This also means that we have to meet people, interact with them to understand the situation on ground. And this statement stands true for all of us, for our friends in Africa, in South Asia, in Nepal. Again, there are a few people from Nepal as well in this group. Which means everybody has to keep this in mind, that when we talk about numbers, we have to use numbers along with these sources as well. You have to track events, you have to understand people's perceptions, you have to talk to them and understand what is the actual situation on the ground. And yes, now to prove your point further, you would definitely need data as evidence. And that's why this workshop is very, very important for all of us. It can help us find a better story if you're a journalist. It can add a new research area to your project work. If you are a government official, you will find a new challenge altogether to work upon. Again, it's not just challenge. The numbers can also drive you to an opportunity that exists that is not visible to us. And if numbers, if used innovatively, can also have a high recall value of your story, of your project work. And as I already told you, that the numbers, if used innovatively, will also help us have wider impact on the new age platforms. So, it is important. We should meet data, have a strategy behind it. In short, we have to have a personal data diary that I'll take you across on how do we at CSE work around it. So when you want to create your data diary, what's the basis for that? How do you identify? What sources should you include in your diary? What kind of numbers should you look at? What's the criteria that you should keep in mind? So let me list a few indicators that you should keep in mind when you look for good data sources with good, reliable numbers and data. First and foremost thing is that the source should be authentic, reliable, credible. It should be a source that generates data on a regular basis. Why? Because as a climate researcher, as a climate reporter, as someone who works on climate related projects, these numbers will help us identify the trends, the historical trends, and the future as well. As I often say, the devil lies in the data. And besides this, you should be on the lookout for sources that give you unprocessed granular data to help you understand the global and local scenario better. Because you can use the unprocessed data for better analysis. You should look for data that's easy to operate upon, which means the data in open access format will be very easy to use, and it's a friendly format for all of us. And the good news is most of very good websites, nationally and internationally, believe in this. They have made data available in the open access format. That means data that we can just simply import and start the analysis, and of course, and also visualize them graphically. Last, and the most important, the most interesting aspect when you look for good data sources is make a list of or identify sites that give you the power to visualize the data graphically. For example, the website of FAO, the website of WHO, World Bank. All these global websites give you the power. They empower you with raw data, unprocessed data. At the same time, they also give you data that can be visualized by you. I think by this time you must have been convinced that to do all this, we have to have a good diary. So let us meet and interact with data and try to make our own personal data diary. For example, as I already told you, look for sources with raw and graphical data available on the websites. And this is the most simplest and the most powerful website that I always come across and always recommend to everyone. Our World in Data. The beauty of this website is it gives you data well categorized under various subject heads that any layman can understand. It has raw data. You can use the data to compare country by country on various indicators. And you can also get a graphic created out of it. And we have also an assignment for you based on this website. So make a note of this website very seriously. And you'll see that once you start working on this website, it's so easy to work on. That means this should be on your data diary, definitely. So all of us agree that we need to create a data diary. Why? Because it will, of course, save our time and effort. It is definitely a quick guide to our to the various resources. It's like all of us have visiting cards of our friends, of our close contacts. Similarly, it is your guide to the online resources and of course offline too. It consists of addresses, which means it has websites. But remember one thing, merely having a list of websites is not sufficient. You have to visit them regularly to understand them better. Because they're also dynamic. So the message is, do visit these sites that you have in your data diary regularly and make friendship with these websites, not just the websites, but the data sets that these websites provide you, because the wealth lies in the data sets and that are often hidden behind in the deep in these websites. Okay. And so as you create your list, make a note of the ones that are released regularly. For example, websites that release numbers regularly on a weekly basis, monthly basis, annual basis should be on the top. And the beauty of this will be, you can look for trends by combining these, you can analyze them and create your own data set. And that could probably give you a new insight altogether. This is especially interesting when you talk about climate change, because it is a multi-sectoral subject. Climate impacts different sectors. It impacts agriculture, it impacts forestry, it impacts livelihood, it impacts food security and various others. It impacts health. That means when you're creating a list of your favorite websites, you have to ensure that this list covers not just dedicated websites on climate change, but you also have a list that captures all of these development challenges in your country, and at the global level as well, because you will need to compare the local developments, local impacts with the global scenario as well. Okay. And when you combine various numbers from different sources, on different subjects, okay, you'll definitely find a new story emerging from this, and that would be a story on development, story that will affect our lives. And if you're a journalist, remember, a story that creates empathy, a story that gives you a new angle altogether, okay, would give you a leverage over others. Because most of the journalists are always looking out for breaking stories. And believe me, there have been instances when we have combined numbers on different subjects from different sources and have given a new research that has been very, very impactful. So again, I'll repeat, maintain your diary of data sources and relevant data sets in them. It's very simple. Your listing of data sources could be as simple as this. You can see the screenshot. You will wonder, why I'm talking about pollution over here? Why forest? As I told you, climate change is a multi-sectoral topic. That means your data diary should have resources that give you data on not just climate change, but other development aspects as well. This is another format of data diary. It has some additional details. For example, it tells you the periodicity as well. The first row in the screenshot that you're seeing can be used by us to track numbers, global numbers on sustainable development goals. Similarly, the second one in this screenshot is on Africa. The source for this is African Development Bank. It covers a variety of subjects. They come out with several annual reports, annual publications. For example, African Economic Outlook is one of the most important publications that comes out from this bank. So I have made a note of it over here. Similarly, third row in this screenshot, Central Pollution Control Board. It gives me numbers on air pollution. And there is a link between climate change and air pollution, which means we can combine numbers on climate and air pollution and again give a new perspective altogether. That's just examples. Okay. But the message behind this is that your data diary should have list of resources that capture not just climate change, but other developmental issues as well, ranging from agriculture, food security, health, forest, pollution, economy, and people, and many other aspects. So what I do over here is, in fact, we at the Center for Science and Environment, we do have a list of resources as a strategy, because this helps us save our time when we have to write many reports or stories. So I'll take you across to a few select global data sources on climate change, specifically in this presentation, but this is not an exhaustive list. It's just a glimpse of few websites, but we will be sharing with you a complete list of similar websites separately. So please take a look at those sites also. So this is the website of World Meteorological Organization. Anybody working on climate change should definitely make a note of it. And this should be the topmost site to track global numbers on climate change and weather. Now, on WMO website, please ensure that you take a look at the state of Environment, State of Climate Report 2020. The State of Climate Report 2020 that WMO has come out gives you interesting numbers and the most recent numbers on climate change and other indicators. Again, I'm telling you, this is just a screenshot of the WMO website, but you must know what is inside the WMO website. It has numbers on weather, climate, water, environment. But the most recent resource that this site has, that this organization has released, is the State of Climate 2020. Please do take a look at it. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, in short, NOAA. NOAA is another interesting and very resourceful website to understand climate related challenges. Within this website, don't get lost. You should actually see the climate dashboard that they have given. This, as a screenshot shows, this gives you numbers on the temperature, carbon dioxide emissions, many other indicators. But check, so besides other aspects of this website, look for the climate dashboard. World Resources Institute has come out with an interesting Climate Data Explorer. Now, this is for our friends in India, in Africa, and other parts of South Asia. They have country-wide numbers on climate change. Again, as I told you, it is a site where you will find raw data, unprocessed data, and data that can be visualized. You can create a data card for your own country by seeing this website. Again, it's not just numbers that you have on this site. It also has interesting information, or very useful information that can be used by any climate researcher. What I like the most on this website is it gives you interesting aspects on climate policies, again, countrywide. And this is a screenshot of the country Ghana that I've just taken from this site. Climateanalytics.org is, again, a very resourceful website with interesting numbers. It has interesting tracker on climate change and what countries are doing to mitigate the challenge. It has policy analysis, and they come up with things regularly. It gives you assessment of the climate challenges, country-wide, content-wise. Okay. So once again, you can see the screenshot over here. This is a must if you want to track the global scenario on climate policies, the mitigations, and how countries plan to go forward after the COVID challenge. This is just to show that climate cannot be understood in silo. You need to connect dots with other sectors to understand the challenge. And this slide shows you exactly that. If this is what we're talking about, so how do we connect the dots? The first and the foremost interesting resource for this could be your dashboard on Sustainable Development Goals. This is a screenshot of the dashboard. You can check out your country's progress, obvious indicators on climate change and other development indicators. They also come out with annual reports, countrywide reports. This is a must to connect the dots between climate change and other development indicators countrywide. Let me take you to the slide once again. When I talk about climate change and sustainable development goals, remember that in India, we also have our own report on SDGs. Niti Aayog has come out with a status report on India's performance on the SDGs. So please see this in context of your national reports as well. And this is especially for my Indian friends who are part of this workshop. So when you connect dots between climate change and other issues, you cannot afford to miss FAO and the data that they have provided you with. As the name suggests, Food and Agriculture Organization. It definitely has numbers on agriculture, food security, and other aspects, but it also has data on emissions intensity by country of various agricultural and animal products, again, for the content and for the country as well. This is again a screenshot for Africa, but you can see this for your own region as well. Water scarcity clock is another interesting tool that I came across, and I'm sure you'll love it. It's also an interactive tool. You can use this to visualize how people are living in the world that is scarce of water. This especially focuses on absolute water scarcity across the world. I would urge you to check out this to know the status of your country. And once again, with this, it can be used by you to create a data card on your country's water scarcity. So there are many such sites that we have listed in the data diary that I use at the center. And I will be sharing with you a separate list that will be given to you as an essential reading under module 2 of this workshop. So please check out the section on essential readings of module 2 for more such resources on climate and related issues. We will give you 2 such lists. One will be the global list on climate data sources, and another will be a national list for India specifically. So I'm repeating again, this is not a complete list. This is just a glimpse of what the list, what your diary should have. As I told you, we follow this practice at the center. And it's especially important for me because I come out with a State of India's Environment report in figures every year. That means I'm supposed to know what is happening and where are the numbers being generated on a regular basis. And I am sure you also would find the practice of creating data diary very useful for your own work. I know most of us actually depend on Google for all our information data requirements. But when all of us depend on Mr. Google or Miss Googly, data diary is a tool that is a must when we all are drowning under data deluge or information overload. A customized data diary that you will create will definitely help you to track, navigate, and deep dive into the diverse sources of data sets, information, and knowledge that is international, national, and regional as well. Believe me, this is actually a good practice when Google rules. And I would love to see your data diary. So do share it with us at my email ID given on this presentation. And thank you so much.